Chef Vikki in the house. What's up, girl?
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm great.
I usually don't do morning podcasts. Usually I make like cocktails and stuff, and like I was like, yeah, I kind of don't want to get buzzed in the morning.
I hear you. I'm not a big drinker, so morning
you're
works.
Not?
No.
I guess the first time we met, you had a martini, and I was like, oh.
I did have a martini. You made a really good martini.
Thank you so much. Why aren't you a big drinker?
It's a good question. I don't really love alcohol. I like other things, but I don't like alcohol.
Yeah.
It doesn't give me that chill feeling that it does for most people.
Do you have any vices that like you enjoy?
Just getting right in, huh?
Right in.
Do I have any vices? I do. I really love mushrooms.
Okay.
I really love them.
What type of mushrooms?
Well, psilocybin. I mean,
Okay.
I laugh a lot.
Sure.
And the thing about mushrooms to me is like, it expands my mind.
Sure.
It's not so much like I want to be on drugs all the time. And
100%.
I don't do them that often, but
Yeah.
I do like the expansion that happens with mushrooms. And then I like how the next day you don't feel
groggy and stuff.
Yeah, you feel great.
It's
You're
like
like,
if you drink alcohol the next day, or if you drink a lot of alcohol the next day, it's like it's ruined.
Yeah.
Versus like you smoke some weed or you take some psilocybin, you're like, yeah, I think I learned something about myself that day.
100%. And I don't really actually smoke weed either because the next day I feel really dumb.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like not my jam. But mushrooms are fun. I think a lot. I'm a big thinker. So like having a little mushroom every now and again, it kind of just, I don't know.
I take them once a year.
You do?
It changed my life.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the first year I took them was probably 4 years ago in Joshua Tree. I went for my friend's birthday. And yeah, big experience. I mean, it's just like us three people in this house in Joshua Tree in the deserts there.
So perfect.
And yeah, a lot of like, I was just worried about like life and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was just like, what can I do to like figure out like this depressive state? And like I did research on it, and then I talked to my friends, and they're like, hey, you should come try this with us. So we went to Joshua Tree. I had my first like psilocybin journey. And for some reason, I used to be super afraid of death and dying and everything like that, and all of a sudden I wasn't. And I don't know how to explain it besides that, but then every once a year I just like repeat that cycle, and then it's been getting more and more like learning about myself every single year.
I think
crazy.
that's so awesome. And I gotta say, it's a little crazy and weird that I had an experience. So I'll take this one step higher. I did acid once.
Okay.
And I had no idea what to expect. But I have always had a huge fear of losing my parents. Like not me dying, but when that happens, like
Yeah.
I've never been able to quite figure out how the hell I'm going to get through that one.
Sure.
When I was on acid, my trip was all about they're not gone. Like it's funny now because we're so far from being on acid. But,
Sure. We're very far. It's 9:30 or 10 o'clock in the morning, y'all. We just had our coffee.
But anyway, it put me in that place.
Sure.
It put me in that place. And then the next day, and since then, that was many years ago, but since then, I've also never done acid again. And I feel like I don't necessarily have to because it gave me
That perspective.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
so beautiful to have that and kind of, dip my toe back into it if I need to.
For sure. I feel like it is a scary feeling if you actually think deep into it, because like these people who you care about a lot,
Yeah.
and helped raise you, and it seems like they did a good job, and then they'll be gone. Like that's a scary feeling.
I think the feeling, I don't get a lot of fear in general in life. I don't fear a lot of things. The feeling that comes up for me when I think I can't call my mom to say what's up or tell her about something great is lonely. And that lonely feeling is like the one feeling that, all feelings you have to move through, but I feel like lonely, that's like painful.
Lonely is painful, but I feel like the people who learn to be alone and accept that feeling and like learn the most about themselves and are like the most powerful people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, then you can take lonely, to like independence, or I feel like I'm pretty fiercely independent, but like losing the one person that brought you here on this earth, and they're not here to like, I don't know, hear about your life, it's sort of like, well, who the hell cares more than my mom about my life? Nobody else cares.
We're like social humans, right? Or beings. So like if something good happens to you, you want to tell someone, right?
Yeah.
And if something bad happens to you, you want to tell someone.
Yeah.
You know, so like, of course you want to tell my parents, you know, like I remember one time I smoked weed in college and I thought about that exact feeling that you're talking about. And that second I drove home like 4 or 5 hours and gave my mom a hug.
100%. I so get that.
They were like, why are you here? I was like, I love you so much.
Came
this
out of
and
nowhere.
that. It came out of nowhere.
You okay? I couldn't agree or understand that more. I do that now. Like I'll be on Instagram and I'll see someone who has like lost their mom, or I'll call my mom immediately. She's like, I just talked to you. What's up? I'm like, because I can call you, I'm now going to call you.
Yeah.
You know, so I kind of,
Well, anyway, that was a solid intro.
Yeah, seriously, we're not down on drugs.
What do you call it? So I was looking at stalking you for a little bit just to prepare for the interview, and soccer was a big part of your life growing up.
Huge.
When did you start playing?
When I was 4.
4.
Yeah.
And you played until when?
I played until, I played up until, I was like late teens. My goal.
Can you scoot up just a little bit?
Sorry.
All good.
My goal was to be a pro soccer player.
Okay.
And then my whole life got derailed in a beautiful way. That had me basically have like a fork in the road, and it was like you could either continue down the soccer path and get a full ride scholarship to school in the U.S. because I grew up in Canada, born in South Africa, but grew up in Canada, or I ended up landing a TV series. Okay. And I wasn't allowed to play competitive sports. Okay. So I ended up taking the
TV series.
Yeah. And the little crux of that is my father, when we moved from South Africa to Vancouver, immigrant parents kind of struggled, or struggled big time, I should say.
Sure.
Lost a lot, struggled a lot. And so I ended up finding myself in this like acting world, which wasn't something that I was so focused on, but I landed a lot of commercials and I got paid a lot of money, and
that's
really
awesome.
helped my family. And
that's beautiful.
It kind of like had its own life of itself.
Okay. So you never wanted to be an actor going, right?
It wasn't a dream. My dream was to be a pro athlete.
Okay. So I guess from that standpoint, like even though your dream was to be a pro athlete, like why did you decide to take the actor's route? Okay.
I was in a school play.
Okay.
I had to lead in a school play, and there was an agent in the audience. Okay. I had no idea what that even meant. Okay. My parents didn't know what that meant.
And this is in Canada?
This was in Canada. Okay. I was 15. I ended up winning the Florence Goodwin Award, which is like the new actors award of whatever. And so in Vancouver, where I grew up, that was like a big deal. So all of a sudden, I kind of got this like spark I was like, oh, I'm okay at this, or I can do this. And I started auditioning, which was so foreign to my family and myself, and I would like miss school, and it was like kind of fun. And
so he talked to you after the show. He
signed me immediately. He was like, and I didn't even know what that meant. But when I landed a Dairy Queen commercial, I got paid like $10,000 for 2 hours of work. I was like, okay, I think this is cool. Yeah. So that's kind of how it went, and then life is so magical. I basically did the acting thing. I quit soccer, but I was very athletic, and I had the athletic body. And I did this TV series, a Lifetime show in Toronto, and the showrunner told me to lose weight. And I was like 19. Okay. And it was a pretty pivotal, shitty
Did that fuck with you a little bit?
Yeah, of course. Like big time. Yeah. I didn't really get it because I was like, I'm so healthy and I'm fit. But then on camera, it was like, yeah, I looked probably a little bigger than other girls that weren't training or weren't in that sports world.
But what was it? What role was that for?
That was for a Lifetime TV series called Wild Card. Okay. I played like a series regular as the daughter, the like rebellious daughter.
And you had to be fit for it?
I had to
like
be
tiny?
skinny. What he was
skinny.
trying to say, he came from the 90210 world.
Okay.
And
all of those people were
very thin. But even the 90210, the reboot, was like way worse than the beginning.
Oh, okay.
And he came from the first show.
Okay.
And he looked at me and I think he was trying to be helpful. I like to think he was trying to be helpful, but it was really detrimental. He was like, you know, you're lovely and you're beautiful. He had like all these compliments. And then he was like, on camera, you know, it adds a lot of weight and you're very muscular is what he said. And he goes, I would just try to get as thin as you can in a healthy way, but it was not done very.
So did you do it?
No, I got really, I remember leaving the meeting. My driver at the time like had a little apple pie for me in the car, which was hilarious. And I was like, I can't eat that. Like, I guess I can't eat that. And so it catapulted me into studying nutrition. That's what it did. It made me go, okay, hold on a second. Like, I'm going to work out differently and I'm going to eat differently.
And at age 15, you decided to study nutrition.
19.
19. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the series regular at 19.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got it when I was 15.
Okay.
And it went for a couple years.
And then during that time,
yes,
he was like, you got to get skinnier.
Yes.
What do you call it for, I guess, that transition shift? Because I grew up, I know you started, I saw some of your Instagram, you started swinging some golf clubs.
Yes.
So I wanted to be a professional golfer growing up for the longest time.
Oh, we got to go play golf.
Yeah, we got to go play golf. And I identified as just like a golfer, right?
Okay.
And like how good my life was or how successful I was based on how good I did at golf. Like, it was totally around that. Is that how you felt with soccer at the time?
Oh, that's a good question.
Was it like your identity?
Yeah, I could say it was my identity, but I think I always felt like, I mean, yes, on some level, I could say that I was everyone that knew me growing up was like, Vicki's the soccer player.
Sure.
Yeah.
What lessons did you learn from soccer that like still you use in like your daily life today?
Leadership.
How so?
I was the captain of a lot of my teams, and I think community and inspiring people in an authentic way and sort of understanding how people, like understanding other people's perspective on the field is really important.
Sure.
And I kind of take that into life. And I also learned how to play poker a couple years ago during COVID, and I took game theory and I thought, this is life too. We're sitting around a poker table, but it's life.
Oh, good. Have you read Annie Dillard's Thinking in Bets?
No, should I?
Yeah, so I think she won the World Series of Poker.
Okay.
And she talks about life as a game, right? And game theory, and like everything is a bet, right? And everything is. Like the decisions you make are based on probabilities in your head of what you think is right and wrong.
100%.
You know? 100%.
And then how much you bet is like how much you're willing to lose.
Risk, you know?
Yeah.
And like, for example, I guess a real world example for me is like, I just bet on myself for like to get a team for the podcast, you know, and like, that's a relatively big risk, and it could pay out and it could not, you know, and that is very similar to poker. That's very similar to every decision you make, just like at a smaller or larger scale, whatever you're thinking about.
But the nucleus of everything we're talking about is like a belief in yourself.
Sure.
The nucleus, I think, of what drives me and what I see drive other successful people is their belief in themselves that they're going to be okay, like that they're going to succeed at whatever they're choosing to do, is such a game-changing perspective.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think about it all the time. I think it comes from, a lot of different things.
I feel like those type of people, they're not necessarily ignorant or cocky in the way they say it. They just say it, that's how it is. Like, yeah, you know,
it could quite possibly be a little gem inside of you that gets released or that you feel. I think everything's a feeling. Everything. I think I think the laws of attraction have to do with feeling. I think the way we interact with people, there's an energy, there's a feeling. The minute I saw you, there's a feeling.
Sure.
It's all feeling.
Yeah.
And the more you feel good, the more you can like be in a joyful state.
Yeah.
The more you attract those things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's so weird because like when people tell me about like they're having bad days or they're having drama or this and that, I was like, I haven't had that in a very long time.
Me too.
And I'm just like, am I weird? Like,
you're lucky, and
yeah, sure lucky.
You're lucky, but it's also your own like personal stability.
Yeah, that part.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
A bad day. I mean, we all have not great things happen, but it's how you see it and how it affects you and how you behave because of it that changes the rest of the next moments.
Yeah, it's just like it's a rippling effect for sure.
100% it's a rippling
and
effect.
it could either be a bad one or a good one.
Yeah.
Do you know who Jordan Peterson is? He's from Canada, and has this like theory that basically you'll know 1,000 people by name in your lifetime, and I'll know 1,000 people by name in my lifetime. So between our networks, 1,000 times 1,000 will be 1 million people. And if you expand it further, 1,000 times 1,000 times 1,000, it's 1 billion people. So whatever I say to you and you say to me is way more important than you think. And that could be a rippling effect. So like whatever you're talking about on this podcast can affect one other person, that can affect another one, that can affect another one.
Isn't that amazing?
It's so cool. It's so cool.
The power that we have to like share and to listen.
Yeah.
You know, we talk a lot. People like to talk about themselves all the time, which is obviously, you get that doing this podcast. How amazing is it when you meet somebody that's like intrigued and wants to listen to you?
Sure.
Because listening does so much as well, but we don't really talk about it. We just talk. Everybody just wants to talk.
What does it do?
Listening, I think it changes perspectives. I think it has the power to make you feel things that you wouldn't necessarily feel. When you're talking, you're not pausing. You're not present. You're just talking. But when you're listening, you can feel.
Sure.
And then it can absorb and it can sit. And then when I leave here, I can think about it. And it's like, that is, I think listening is, I think we need to like celebrate listening more.
Make listening great again, guys.
Exactly.
What do you call it? Yeah, I guess the biggest thing that I love about listening is, again, hearing other people's perspectives, right? And the ability to understand that I could possibly be wrong, and that you could learn from this person, no matter who it is. Yeah. And also, like, always listening to every type of person, regardless of, like, I guess their social hierarchy or anything like that. Because, again, no matter what aspect, you can learn from somebody.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, we're all very interesting if you
Everyone's
like allow if you allow them to be.
And like different parts of the world, like the fact that you were born in
Joburg. South Africa.
It's crazy.
Amazing.
Like I have no clue what South Africa is like.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that'll be a different podcast.
Okay. You can talk about that for days.
Yeah.
Speaking of traveling and stuff, I guess before we go back to the acting part, you took a big trip in Europe when you were 19, right?
I did.
And I just took one recently. I took one 2 years ago.
Where'd you go?
I went to Poland for a wedding, and then I went to Berlin, Florence, Rome. I believe that's it.
Okay.
And I went backpacking too.
Amazing.
And I stayed in hostels. I met all these people from around the world, and it was probably the coolest experience I've ever had.
It is like, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
If everybody had the opportunity to do that, oh my God, what a great.
People think there's a huge barrier to entry when it's not. It's like a plane ticket, and then like you could do it cheaply.
Yeah, you could do it on the train.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different ways to do it. And hostels, I mean, nowadays I think things are a little different. You went, 2 years ago, you said?
2 years ago.
I went over 10 years ago when nobody was really doing, it wasn't as unsafe, or it seemed a little better back then. It wasn't
as unsafe. I feel like super safe.
It is right now?
When I went, like, they have revamped hostels that look like 5-star hotels.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. But, I mean, there'll be, like, 5 to 10 people in a room, right? But, like, it's gated up. It's super, super nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What I would do is I would go into a hostel. Everyone's super welcoming. There's a bar at every hostel.
Yeah.
And at the time, the euro was really low. So it was equivalent to the dollar. And so drinks were like $3 to $5. So every time I went to a hostel, I bought everyone at a bar around. And so it's probably like 5 to 8 people. So you're spending like maybe $40.
It's amazing.
And now you have free tour guides and you have free friends.
Yeah, you've just built a connection.
You did the thing. And now you have someone to show you, like, hey, these are the tickets to get to the Statue of David. Like, here's the cathedral. Like, all this.
Yeah.
And then they also, like, hey, sitting down and having a drink, like, and making an intentional conversation and learning about somebody. You're like, whoa, like, you're from, I met this guy from Germany, and he, like, saved up all his money every single year. He's like in his late 30s, early 40s, and he just blows it for the last 3 months of every year and just travels the world to a different spot. And that's his like definition of happiness and success.
I love that.
Versus like, I'm like, wow, maybe what I know could potentially be wrong, back to the US stuff. Like, it's just like, you're chasing the dollar, you're chasing the house, you're chasing the car.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this guy is so happy. And I'm just like,
But what is happy?
I feel like everyone has a different definition of happiness, right?
Yeah, but I think we could probably all agree that it's a lot to do with freedom and having the access to freedom.
Okay.
Meaning you don't have to wake up and do something you don't want to do because you have to pay the bills.
Sure.
I think in the US we have this culture of like the hamster wheel, especially LA. When I leave LA, and it's not bad. I mean, it's good. We're here. I choose to be here. So I love LA. But when I leave it, I'm like, oh, when I'm in Europe or somewhere else, you're reminded like relationship feels more important than how much money do you have or what Rolex are you wearing or what car do you drive.
With what?
A lot of things, I mean, everything in life is going to be a big thought. Everything in life is relationship. Your relationship with each other, your relationship with food, with money, with career, with perspective. It's all relationship is everything.
Yeah.
So when you travel the world, you see how other people have relationship with other things, and it broadens your minds and it creates expansion. And then you come back here and you reevaluate what's important to you.
Yeah.
I feel like we should always be reevaluating.
Yeah.
What's important to me?
Yeah. Have you ever been to Asia?
No, been to Japan.
So I just got back from Japan.
How was it?
It was a super big culture shock.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like a different world.
Back to the relationship stuff, right? I was just like, their relationship with food is like super, with everything, sorry. It's like, they're so polite.
Yes.
Everything's so polite.
Yes.
The craftsmanship.
Yes.
I have a buddy who's over there like studying pottery and working as an apprentice for like a potter, and like he's learning that and like doing all the dirty groundwork versus over here. It's one thing that I don't love about here is like, for example, I'm a bartender, right? I studied a ton of shit and I took a certification thing and I got my first bartending job and then I worked my way up.
Right.
And that's a good way to do it. You can learn from books. I read a ton of books and all that stuff. But in Japan and stuff, it's like you have a master bartender, I would say, or a master potter. And then you have an apprentice. And they learn everything from this person. And it's until the master says like, you're ready.
100%.
That you can do it.
Yeah.
And that's why their stuff is so, I think, beautiful, immaculate. Like they care so much more about it.
Meticulous on what they're learning.
Yeah.
I think it comes back to intention. I think they're not doing it to make pottery, to make money, to live a certain way. You said it right in the beginning, you said craftsmanship. And I think, I don't know, it's kind of funny for us to sit back here and go like, in Japan, this is what they do. But my perspective from it, and yours maybe as well, is that what you're learning over there is that the attention to detail and the attention to perfection and that sort of relationship with what they're doing is so intentional.
Yeah. Where
here, it's like, you want to be a bartender, you probably love all the things about creating.
Sure.
But you also need a job and you also want to work at a higher end place because that will give you more money. So it's I think our intentions are different. But I think that is kind of culturally, our intentions are different. Like the man that you met at the bar in the hostel, his level of happiness was his freedom that he gets to go do this. Now, I've met a lot of people here that their level of happiness is related directly to the car that they drive, or what they look like, or how thin they are, or how beautiful they are, and so
back to relationships,
values,
and values,
right?
Yeah,
it's an incredible conversation. I'm fascinated by people's values, by my own. And they change and they grow, and so do we.
And you could tell too, because like, for example, you said you don't drink a lot, and I'm like, that tells me something about you, right? That's a value that's important to you.
What does it tell you?
I mean, like, it tells me that you're very health conscious, right? So for like me, I love drinking, but I love working out, and I feel like they can balance each other out.
Why do you love drinking?
I love drinking because it opens I don't know, people get loose, right?
Yes.
So like, if I'm having a cocktail with you right now, I'm probably your muscles are a little bit more relaxed and you could be more open-minded or this and that. Not saying all the time, but a lot of people get nervous. So like they're on a mic right now and they're just like, oh, what he's gonna ask me, this and that. I'm like, yo, just take a sip, we'll be good, blah blah blah. And I don't know, I think it's that I think it's like a key.
I get that. I mean, I get that. And that's what a lot of people, I mean, that's what drinking, you said it, you let loose. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm like, I don't think drinking's bad. I have nothing against drinking. I think that's great. But what if you could have that key?
Without it.
I mean, wouldn't that be...
It's a superpower, for sure.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think, to be honest, the way I grew up, I developed that key really early.
Yeah.
And so substances actually prohibit me from feeling great. I feel great
all the time,
most of the time. So I don't need it.
Sure.
And I actually don't really love the taste of alcohol. I like a good dirty martini if I'm like out and I'm in that headspace. But like I don't come home and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to crack open a bottle of wine.
I don't do that either.
You know, you don't drink?
No.
Is it more social?
It's definitely social.
Right.
Like I don't come home and be like, I'm going to pound a glass of whiskey or like this and that. It's also a creative outlet for me, right?
Right.
So it's like, so this is my bitters company. It's called In Spirit Bitters.
Ooh.
And we'll talk about it with cooking. Do you know what bitters are?
Yes, and I have used them to cook.
So yes. So I'll give you some on the way out.
Okay, great.
And bitters are like the seasonings for cocktails, you know? And so the ability to create something that is beautiful and something appreciates, you understand as a chef, and like someone to enjoy it with also this like little key of like letting them loose is like,
no, it's amazing.
It's a very cool thing.
I totally see that and understand that,
sure.
And relate with you on the whole creative aspect of it.
Yeah.
It's very rewarding to see someone take a sip of something that you've developed and
put together.
Yeah, and like they love it, and then they also kind of find their self in like a more relaxed space.
Yeah, is that the biggest I guess reward for you when you like make a dish and a friend tastes it or someone who you totally don't know and they just get like, wow, that's a pure joy of like, wow, this tastes fucking good.
Yes, but I'll say that the more rewarding effect for me and why I chose the direction I did with cooking is the after effect, the next day.
Oh, okay.
And the day after. And when they consistently eat something that I make consistently, they're like, wow, I feel amazing.
Yeah.
It's that keeps me doing what I do.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
What do you call it? So I brought up the Europe trip because you learned cooking over there, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
Insane. And
like,
life
what did you do?
I mean, it's so crazy.
Because you didn't want to be a cook, right?
No, I didn't even know. I mean, my brothers called me like a pipsqueak for my whole, like they couldn't believe I was like a chef when I became like a chef in LA. They were like, you're a what? I was like, settle down. It's all working out. I met a chef the second day I was in Paris.
Okay.
And I went to Paris because I was told to lose weight, and I was like, I got to walk away from acting for a second.
Okay.
That's basically what happened.
And this is right after the
show.
The show.
I had just done an audition at the WB. It was pouring rain. It was me and one other girl I was testing for this huge role.
Okay.
And in the audition with like 15 executives, one of the producers said to me, like almost verbatim, Vikki, you're an amazing actress, but if you looked into veneers, lowered your voice, and lost 5 to 10 pounds, you would get a lot of work. And I remember the casting director, she was lovely, and we had a good relationship, and she looked over and she was like, oh, and I just like looked at him and I was like, do you have a daughter? Like, I don't even know where that came from, but I was like, do you have a daughter? Do you have any idea what
And this is you at 19?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was horrified. The casting director walked me down to my car. It was pouring rain. I got to my car. I called my agents at the time. It was Innovative Artists, and I was like, I have to take I can't. I don't feel good. Like this doesn't feel good. So I ended up going backpacking through Europe with the idea that I was going to study nutrition, like sports nutrition, get into like kinesiology, get into the sports world again.
Yeah.
And the second day I was in Paris, I met a chef, and he brought me into the back of their kitchen, which was a very fine dining kitchen.
Okay.
And it just sparked this like whole new world.
Yeah.
I was like, what is that? It's art on a plate and it's nutritious. Like, hold on a second. How does this...
So this was nutritious too?
It looked nutritious. One of the first dishes I ever saw was like an ahi tuna cube.
Okay.
And I didn't even really know what that was. And I wasn't, I mean, I grew up with like in a very, very down to earth immigrant family. We did not do fine dining.
There was no ahi tuna on those plates.
We had tuna, but it came in a can for sure.
Maybe a tuna sandwich if we were lucky, guys.
Maybe, yeah. Bread and butter, 100%. So that's, I met the chef, and it kind of, and then I staged in like every kitchen that I went to, and that's interning.
If you guys didn't know what staging means,
thank you. And at the time, nobody wanted to be a chef. Chefing wasn't cool like it is now. I mean, it was like a service job, and I did that for 5 months in Europe. Came back to LA, got my first job at Equinox in West Hollywood.
Sweet.
It was a trainer, and front desk.
It's so funny. It's full circle. My friends just finished managing West Hollywood Equinox.
Oh. It's very different now than when I did this. Okay. But that was my I was like, okay, I'm in the fitness world now.
So this is, how long were you in Europe for?
Almost 6 months.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah, by myself.
What did you learn most about yourself from that trip?
It was the greatest thing that I ever did in my life.
How so?
I developed into a large part of who I am today was because of that trip. There was a level of self-awareness that I learned. There was a level of self-sufficiency that I learned, and it like broadened my view on like this whole like we're in a game. Like, does everybody know that? Like, we're on this earth, nobody really knows what we're doing. I mean, we all think we do, but we're all just like roaming around trying to have a purpose. And when I was by myself, like in hostels, I mean, you meet so many people and you're kind of figuring out who you are. I think we figure out who we are through other people, through other relationships. And you go at that time in your life when like you're just told you're really fat, you have to get off TV, and all of a sudden you're like this, I don't know, it's wild. Yeah. It's wild. So I came back here and I was like, wait a second, I want to cook. I want to have something to do with nutrition. I want to cook. And I wasn't sure how that was all going to happen. And then as life is life, I was able to meet a man whose wife was starting a private chef company. Okay. And I fibbed in the interview because I really didn't know how to cook. I mean, I'd like been in the back of the kitchens, like peeling potatoes, but I wasn't really sure how to cook. I said I knew how to cook. The one thing she said to me was like, I like you because you're so eager to learn and you're not going to like take over the business. You're just going to be like a wingman for me. And my first client was Katherine Heigl, and I did not know what I was doing. And cool. I went to the Salvation Army in West Hollywood, and I bought as many cookbooks as I could find. I had a Target knife, and then I went to Ralph's, Rockin' Ralph's on Sunset and Poinsettia, bought onions, carrots, and celery, and just taught myself how to cut these things.
Yo, it's so hard. Yeah, knife skills are. So I used when I was 19, I was a sushi chef for a little bit.
What?
Yeah, and I think the first day on the job, I was cutting cucumbers, and I slipped my hand open.
Oh yeah.
And it was like literally gushing out in front of like customers and everything. I'm just like, he was like, yeah, just put super glue on it, you're good. But like, yo, I'm still not great. But like, knife skills are so appreciative if you don't know it, because like a lot of people in LA don't cook.
Yes. Because
one, there's not a lot of big kitchens out here, like people living in apartments, and honestly, cleaning sucks.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. Yeah. I love cleaning, but
you love cleaning,
right? You just reminded me why a large portion of people don't cook.
It's mostly because of that.
You're right.
And I guess, how do you use all of the stuff? Because I feel like if you go to a grocery store and you're cutting like diced tomatoes and onions and all that stuff, I feel like half of it goes to waste.
No, I never waste anything.
What do you do with extra stuff?
Oh man, you should see my kitchen. It's like, first of all, I make stock like it's going out of fashion. Okay. I make all kinds of stock with the veggies. And
you use it to marinate stuff?
I use every part of the vegetable or the meat or whatever I'm really cooking. I mean, I'll throw out, certain things, but no, I think part of the fun of cooking is utilizing things in ways that you wouldn't necessarily think.
If people don't, I mean, I guess the people listening out there who aren't big cooks and I guess desire to like start, where should they start?
They should start where they are the most happy. Okay. Like if they love steak, go buy some steak and start playing in the kitchen with steak. Sure. Like find the thing that you love the most and then go experiment with it. You'll have so much more fun and you'll have a more positive outcome, than going and trying to make something a little harder or a little more complicated. Go simple and like read cookbooks like a book. That's what I did. I mean, I don't know, anybody listening to this is like, wait, I'm not gonna go read a cookbook. But honestly, cookbooks are really interesting.
Have you read The 4-Hour Chef?
Yes.
By Tim Ferriss?
Yes.
So like that's when I started, like I was like, oh, okay, like you can practice knife skills without cutting yourself.
Yeah.
Like you just get like there's a plastic serrated knife.
Yep.
And what was it? Rice? You could practice with rice.
Okay.
And celery. Like those two things.
Celery's big.
Yeah. And you're just like, yo, it's cheap. Just like fuck around, keep cutting.
Yeah, but it's like any skill. If you want to learn it, you will.
Yeah.
You will.
Yeah, I feel like so many people are just like afraid to start because like these books, like with anything, it's like you are a blank canvas of anything.
Yeah. Isn't that great?
It is, but it's also like scary. It's like I'm gonna start this and I'm not gonna know anything, and then tomorrow I'm gonna know like one thing.
Yeah, but what if you? But that's what I'm saying. Like, what if you're like, this is great. I'm gonna start this and I'm gonna crush this.
I mean, you're living proof of it for sure.
Well, I'm gonna crush it. So everything. So it doesn't have to be scary. It's like I'm gonna make this steak and it is gonna come out incredibly.
Yeah.
Why? Because I'm making it.
And I'm going to take the time and effort to do so.
Yeah. And if it doesn't come out great, I'm going to redo it or I'm going to like figure out how to make it better.
But there's some people out there who are going to make a really shitty steak and they're like, fuck it, I'm not going to good cook. I'm not going to do it again.
They should do it again.
Go cook your steak, guys.
Do it again. Cook a second steak.
What does cooking do for you?
Oh, this.
What?
It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I love cooking.
Why?
I love cooking. I love eating. I love food. It's like, well, it's similar to you. I mean, a mixologist, it's like you're creating nourishment for people. Or I guess I am.
Alcohol's not necessarily
yeah.
I was like, that's the first time I've ever heard that.
It's a positive way of thinking, right? It's creating nourishment.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Listen, I had a cocktail there was an arugula cocktail.
Yeah.
That has a lot of phytonutrients in it.
Yeah.
So you can.
There was a caprese salad martini.
Yes, I've had something like that.
At Neat, this place in West LA. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff. And
you can do vegetable juice based.
You can.
And I love that.
Yeah.
I would order that. I would order that.
And a dirty martini.
Yeah.
So continue about
the
the joy food cooking does for you.
I love nothing more than to know that I'm going to be making lunch and dinner and a snack for someone and not really have it planned out. Mm-hmm. And then I go to the farmer's market or wherever I'm going and I get all these ingredients and I lay them out on my counter and I'm like, okay, what? Then I start to like puzzle piece what I'm going to put together. And I usually do it backwards. This is something that I found out about myself through other chefs that was like a little peculiar. Mm-hmm. I see the dish and then I make the dish. Does that make sense? Like I visualize what the dish is going to look like.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, now I'm going to cook this.
Okay.
Instead of I'm going to cook this and figure out what the dish is going to look like while I'm cooking.
It's like you see the final goal,
yes.
The final thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tell me if this is like different. So like I'm a personal trainer as well. And for example, I know we're going to hit chest today, chest and triceps and shoulders. And so I just know that. And then I will build like the program for it. It's like, this is how we're going to work these muscles today.
Right.
Like, so you see this meal.
Yeah, that's similar.
Similar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah, I see the end result.
Yeah.
And then I build it backwards almost.
Yeah. How's creativity involved in cooking?
It's everything. I think it's everything. Creativity is like flavor, texture. You know, you eat with your eyes first. What does it look like? There's visual. There's, yeah, I think. What was the question?
I said, how is creativity involved in cooking? Because like if you rewind hundreds of years ago, right? Man with the bow and arrow shoots animal. They grill it on a fire. They have berries and vegetables, maybe. That's it. I
think we have evolved in.
I know we have.
In that no, I'm not saying I don't like a caveman. I'm just saying I feel like creativity has evolved throughout the years. I mean, I think that's where fine dining comes in. I think experience is a big part of it.
Yeah. I think experience is a huge thing because, like, objectively, it's kind of confusing. Like any art piece, you go into like a 5-star or 4-star Michelin restaurants at the top tier, and you're paying $1,000 for your experience, right? Thousands, maybe a couple thousand for food that goes into your stomach that nourishes you. And you could go to Tender Greens and pay $20 for food that nourishes you. Absolutely. And there is a $980 difference between both meals.
Yes.
And you're like, why the fuck does that make sense?
Yes, but that's the same as a piece of art. You could go get a piece of art for $6 or $6 million.
I know.
What's the difference? It's all in like the perceiver of your own. It really messes with me sometimes. Value.
Really messes with me because I've had artists on the podcast, and I'm just like, why is the Mona Lisa priceless?
Yeah, I think
it's because so many people value it.
That's exactly
right.
That's exactly it.
And it's just a painting.
Is it just?
Okay.
But is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's.
I mean, there's history to it, right? Like, I don't know. If you look at the Statue of David, right? When you go to Florence and seeing it in person, like I almost cried.
Wow.
You know, and I was like, why is that? Why am I feeling those emotions?
Why? Did you figure it out?
No, I mean, like, I was just like, it's so beautiful.
So the beauty evoked that emotion.
Well, you could see the detail, like his veins are popping out from this.
It's just there last year.
This marble, right?
Yeah.
And then you're looking at each direction. He has a different emotion, right? So one side's stoked, one side's sad, one's like kind of scared. You know, like if you look at it from each direction.
Did you relate to him?
I don't know. I mean, like, could be.
Yeah.
But it's just like that piece of art made me feel that way.
Yeah.
And I was like, that might be why it's so valuable, because it brought those emotions out from me. You know, maybe like some food that you cook does the same thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think we all like to think that we bring a level of value with everything we do, right?
I feel like, no.
Oh, tell me about that.
I feel like some people just do, and they're just like, this is what I do, and like they don't really care to make it great.
You're right.
For example, like I went to McDonald's in Japan, and these guys are suited up with a vest.
Yeah.
And I have the burger, right, or the breakfast sandwich, and it looks like the commercials. Everything is stacked so precisely to a T. And if you're drunk or high or whatever, and you're going through a McDonald's drive-through, it's not going to look like whatever it is on the commercials, right? It's because they care. I want this person, whoever's eating it, to enjoy it the way it's supposed to be enjoyed.
Yeah.
Right? So like that's an example.
Yeah.
Another one is like, for example, an old fashioned. For me, when I make old fashions, it's my favorite cocktail.
Yeah.
I'm gonna muddle a sugar cube, add like a couple different types of bitters, stir it properly, like, and present it to you in a way that is beautiful. Versus like if you go to a dive bar, they'll throw whiskey, bitter, sugar, just like.
Why do you think that is?
I just don't think people value their work sometimes. They're just like, that's just what they do.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I was fascinated by you when I saw your stuff, because I was like, yo, you could tell right away, like, this person cares about what they do.
Thank you.
You know? And I feel like that's what makes the world more enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, people who care about certain things, that are really good at what they do.
Yeah.
And try their best to make it better.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like making better things makes everyone's life better.
Yeah, but then I guess the question is like, well, what's better?
So I value convenience a lot, right?
Yeah.
So the people who could, like, I don't change my own oil and stuff like that, because I want to focus my attention on this podcast, on whatever, and this and that, versus spending 10 hours probably going on YouTube or online to try to figure that out. Right. So by them doing a good job, like, for my car, right? And this mechanic loves cars, right?
Yeah.
And is super into it, doing this thing. Like, he's filling that void in my life to make my life better. And that's what he's interested in.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And for you, it's a perfect example. Like, I just started paying for meal preps because like I have a little bit less time and I'm preparing for a powerlifting meet. So I have to get the right nutrition in, right? Yeah. So like, that's an example too. Like, these people love cooking. Yeah. And they made it a business. Yeah. Just like yourself. Yeah. And you kind of might not feel like it's work necessarily because this is my art. This is what I do. I'm going to be super good at it and people are going to pay me my value. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. I just had a client yesterday who sort of states that he's like an 8-year-old, that he likes 8-year-old flavors. And so when I make something a little more in depth, it's like scary to him. It's not familiar. And so there's these like conversations.
What are 8-year-old flavors?
He loves pizza and he loves hot dogs and he loves, all these flavors that...
Do you cook those things?
So this has been the like new learning curve for me, where usually I've cooked for a lot of people in the film world and people that sort of, enjoy high-end flavors. Sure. And like the depth of flavor and so forth. So no, I don't cook for people necessarily that like want to eat a hot dog and feel very good after they eat a hot dog. So I've been having this conversation with him. I said to him, I have value. I'm trying to infuse nutrients inside of you. Sure. And I can make you a pizza and I'll do it my healthy way. And I did the other day and he was like, this is the best pizza. We should open up a pizza place. And I'm like, nah.
Was it like a
I did a cornmeal crust. Okay. It wasn't, I just didn't use a ton of fat. I like hid spinach and arugula and I kind of...
You could hide spinach everywhere.
You can hide it everywhere. Not that I think spinach is great anymore because I've been learning a little bit about spinach, but that's... Oh. Yeah, we'll anyway, my point is like being a chef is like, what is valuable to the person that's hiring me? It's not what's valuable to me necessarily. Sure. And that's something I'm going through like right now where I'm like, like, is he better off just buying, ordering in because that's what he loves? It's not good for him. Yeah.
But is he trying to be healthy?
Yeah, he wants to be healthy, but his palate is like very, very
saturated with...
It's I can't think of the word.
It's used to 8-year-old foods.
Yes. Yes.
Well, it's hard to change too, because like, if you eat a lot of sugar, your body's craving sugar. Yes. Right. If you eat a lot
but if you have a personal chef, like if you have someone cooking all your food for you, I question what's the value for them. Like they can order anything they want. Yeah. It's cheaper. So I'm like, I can make you pizza 5 days a week and it would be healthier than you ordering pizza 5 days a week. Sure. But is that pizza. Of value? Is that what this is? Or do you want me to help you expand your palate? Yeah. And like, so we're doing a little bit of both. But I sit back and I'm like, I don't know if it's worth him paying me for this because I'm not sure that he's happy with all the food. The food is very different. It's not, Domino's.
Yeah. Did acting help you in the celebrity chef realm?
Yes.
Okay. How so?
Okay. Being told to lose weight and having the body image pressures that I did at such a young age allowed me to build relationships with these much more famous actors
wait, rewind. So the body image stuff made you build relationships with much more famous actors. How?
Because when they hired me as a chef, and their association with food was really negative because they didn't want to eat it because they have to look super skinny.
You could relate with it.
Yeah, and I could. And so what ended up happening was I was not the best chef when I started as a private chef. I didn't even really know what I was doing.
Was it all referral based?
All. My entire career has been referral based. I love that. But what got me so successful was not my food. It was the relatability. It was the psychology. It was the understanding. It was the like relationship. That I had to build a plate that wasn't scary for someone, but still fed them properly. And that is the source of where my success came from. I started going to Santa Monica Night College for psychology to learn about eating disorders because I had a lot of clients coming in that were coming from an eating disorder. And I learned very fast it wasn't necessarily that my food was so delicious. It was fine, but it was the trust that I built just from having so much stress in my own teenage life about weight and food and how do you like associate food in a more positive way. Yeah. That's what did it.
So you could thank that director honestly for being an asshole.
I do. I thank everybody that, caused challenge in my life because that contrast
you figured out the problem.
Yeah. We all need contrast. We think if there's anything that I've learned more and more every single day, it's that contrast, things that don't turn out the way we want them to, or things that aren't familiar, or things that make us scared or feel bad. That's also good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So to just pause and say like, okay, that doesn't feel great. Why doesn't it feel great? Because this feels better. Well, now I know that I want this. I don't want this. So now I'm going to focus my thoughts on what I do want, and I'm going to have more of that in my life.
Yeah, to know what you want, you got to know what you don't want, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's a whole yin yang of life.
Exactly.
Like, to feel good, you also have to feel bad.
Yes.
To be happy, you also have to feel sad.
Yes, but here's the crux of all of that. Don't live in the sad. Don't live in the bad. Don't operate from that.
Yeah.
Know it, appreciate it, identify it, and then focus on the good.
How does someone develop that mindset?
Just by doing that. Just by focusing on what feels good.
Yeah.
I think meditation, I mean, it can be a lot of different things, but
Sure.
I think for me, where I've like taken my soccer career to my acting career to my chef career to my
Personal
triathlete world, all of it is like what feels good for me. So I focus on that. And it shows up.
It's all feelings.
It's all feelings. It is. I really think it is.
How did you get into the triathlete space?
Well, COVID had me living in Vancouver.
Okay.
I was cooking for a client shooting a movie.
Sweet.
And then I ended up staying in Vancouver because I'm dual citizen, but my family isn't. So no one could come and visit me.
Yeah.
And
So you could go over there.
I stayed in Vancouver. I was like, you know what? I'll just stay here for a bit. I ended up meeting somebody who was very well respected in the triathlon world and did very well.
So
and
this was recently?
Yeah, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Two years
And
ago.
you never done any triathlete
I didn't even
stuff?
know what a triathlon
What?
was. I really didn't. I had never learned how to swim, ever. And
Swimming's hard, guys.
Yeah,
You guys-
God, swimming is so hard.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful, and it's like when you get it and you can flow with the water and you can just feel the water, there's nothing like it. But swimming's very hard.
Have you ever surfed before?
Never.
Surfing is I would say it gives me more freedom, I guess, than what you described from swimming, because you're doing it in open waters. I guess you would do the same thing, right? But there's like nature out there. Like there's like dolphins hitting you and like stuff like that.
I mean, I hear it's beautiful, but
It's
I
the
wonder,
most-
is it difficult? Have you been surfing for a long time?
So I picked it up during COVID. And I haven't surfed much since I moved out here. I was living in Santa Monica area at the time. And the coolest thing is I went to Long Beach and I went surfing with a couple buddies, and it was like sunset. The sun's like halfway down. It's like the half moon over the water, you know what I'm talking about. And it's like just beautiful. And then it's only me and two other people in the water. So no one else is out there. It's super calm. Then this nice wave comes up, catch the wave, and then dolphins surf the wave with me. Wow. That was like probably like 8 or 10 dolphins. And I'm looking side to side, and I was like,
that moment.
wow. Like
magic.
You're like on Mother Nature right now. Like you are this thing that, I don't know, the universe, God, whoever, whatever you believe in, created for you at that perfect moment. Like, I'm just like, what? This is wild.
Yeah.
You know?
It's amazing.
Crazy.
That's a great story.
Insane.
How often do you think about that moment?
Anytime something like you describe your experience with swimming, that would like spark that experience, you know? It's like,
so can I offer you one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
So like in your day when you're not having a great moment, go back to that. Close your eyes, go back to that moment, and bring up your vibration to that place of bliss, and just live there for a minute. And then get on with your day and continue working or continue doing whatever you're doing. That moment is a gift because it brings you to a higher space. And when we live and operate from a higher space, we get alignment. We create alignment. But when we operate from a frustrating or like down place, everything is down. And that's like, you know, I'm not some spiritual teacher, but I do believe that those moments that we have, and we all have them, is that it's for us to remember as a moment to bring us up. Go live in that like joyful state. We can't always be in a joyful state, but we can be there a lot. And how? It might not be in the present moment, but we can close our eyes and we can go back to the dolphin moment, and that just can immediately lift us. And I think when you can do that, that's a gift. You know?
Is that your form of meditation?
Yes.
You do that?
Yes.
How often do you do that?
Every day, multiple times a day.
That's impressive. I feel like that's actually like work. Cause like work in a way that things will happen to you that are bad. You will get sick, or a family member will get sick. And like, that's definitely just going to happen.
Yeah.
And other things are bad, but like, that's just like a certain thing.
Yeah.
Right. And to pick yourself up to the dolphin moment in those times is extremely hard to do.
Very difficult. Very difficult, but it's a muscle, and you're a trainer, and we all get up out of bed and we walk. So we all have the ability to do it.
Yeah.
It's where do you want your focus? It's so much easier to feel shitty.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Don't we all want to feel good?
Yeah.
Well, you can't just click your fingers and feel good. We're not like, we're
move.
humans.
Yeah, you move the muscle.
You got to move the muscle.
Yeah.
And I think it's both mental and physical, I think.
It's so sad to see, I guess, like clients of mine as well, who they just don't move a lot, and therefore like they don't have like a enjoyable life, right? Yeah. So like
but to them, they don't have an enjoyable life?
From what I understand is like they can't walk for very long. They get tired after they walk up the stairs.
Right.
They can't do a activity with their kids on a vacation because they don't have the ability to do so.
Right.
You know? So like, I'm just saying, this world that we live in, back to what you said, moving these muscles to enjoy your life more, back to like the dolphin moment. The physicality part of it is like, that's the same thing too.
Yeah.
Movement
is everything.
But it makes this, like, our life so easy to the point where like, hey, you could order all your food to your door. You can work from home if you choose to do so.
Yeah.
You could do all these things that just technology has provided.
Yeah.
Like, yo, I have a refrigerator to hold all this nutritious food that I could keep there.
Right.
I have a stove that has this fire that comes out of it, and I could cook.
Yeah.
Like, yo, we didn't have this before.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah. We have a lot of access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I feel you have to take away that access sometimes. Like, you have to go away, or go camping, or I guess for like what you were talking about with the mindset is you have to feel bad. You have to take away those bliss moments sometimes, but like have the muscle memory to bring them back.
Yeah. I mean, I think like everything can be done mentally in our lives. Everything. I don't think we need exterior thing. Like you say, like we have to have something bad happen for us to know, and we have to like go camping and not have a stove to like recognize that. And I get that, and I totally agree with it on a lot of levels. But I think the way I see life is that we create everything that we have through our thoughts and our feelings. We create it.
So you're saying you could work out that, you could work out that problem in your head without going camping.
Yes. I don't think we really need exterior in many ways. I mean, it's nice. It's like we have it and we will always have it.
Sure.
But I think like really whatever you need, it's like inside of you. I know that sounds...
It's hard to bring it out though. For example, like a lot of people will say that they want to get in shape, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I'll get to it, blah, blah, blah. But then they fall down because they're not strong enough or this and that. And then
I think
that's
they fall
like,
because they don't prepare. They don't know what they want. First of all, if I said to you, well, I did say to you when I came in here, I was like, so what is it that you want to do with this?
Yeah.
So like you've given that thought. You've already imagined the top
future.
tier
Sure.
of what you want here.
100%.
So you're building toward that.
Yeah.
So anybody that wants to lose weight, they need to have it would be helpful if they had some idea of what they wanted to look like or what they wanted that to feel like. What is that?
Yeah.
Then you start making...
Versus just doing mindless actions.
Yeah, or saying, I want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Well, what does that mean?
Or mindless sayings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be intentional.
Yeah.
Pause. I tell people all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I know anybody that's going to see this or hear this is going to laugh because I always say, just pause.
Yeah.
Take a break.
Yeah.
If you don't
Take a
have...
deep breath.
Yeah, and if you don't have good things to think about or good feelings or whatever, and you've got all these like negative thoughts going on, just pause. You know? Should we take a pause?
Pause. We're pausing right now. What do you call it? So I guess back to, why did I bring that up?
Triathlon is
triathlon. Yeah.
So I met someone who did it, who threw me into it because it was COVID and there was something else going on. So you just
decided to go running, biking, and swimming?
Basically, well, I always ran. Cycling, I had been on a bike when I was like 10, but it wasn't really, I can't say I was that great of a cyclist. And then the swimming, I was like very not thrilled about. And he is a great coach in that way, and just sort of built me up. And I think I have a naturally athletic ability. So I think things
from soccer and everything like that,
just from playing sports my whole life. And and I love athleticism. So that's how I got into it. Now, my first race, I had no idea what I was doing. First time I clipped into bikes, if anybody's ever clipped in and fallen right on over, it hurts so much. You feel like a real idiot.
So if you guys haven't rode bikes before, there's these shoes that have clips on that clip onto the pedals. And if you don't know how to unclip properly,
you just fall over.
It's
really painful. It's really painful. It's humiliating. And you're like in slow motion. You're like, oh no. And you just kind of like, you just hit the pavement and it sucks.
Do you know how to unclip now properly?
Now I do, but it took me a really long time. I did not clip in for like a year.
Oh,
and I did like 100K bikes, not clipped in. No one could believe it. They were like, what? I'm like, I can't do it. I don't want to do it. And
this is after the fall?
This was after the fall.
You were like, I'm not going to clip in
anymore. Not doing it again. Yeah.
Did you hurt yourself badly?
Yeah, I hurt my knee really bad.
Oh, fuck.
And, but then I had this person that was like, you got this. And he just like wouldn't take no for an answer. But eventually we did do like 100K bike ride and I wasn't clipped in and I have pretty strong legs, but like that's ridiculous.
You definitely need those people in your life, the people who believe in you when you don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or who are just very forceful in their way, and whether it has anything to do with you or not. But yes,
it's like, you're going to do this.
Yeah. And then it like stokes that fire inside of you. Like, oh yeah, wait, I can do this. Obviously I can do this. I mean, there I was in my first race. I just honestly had no idea what I was doing. And I came 20th, which was like a pretty good number in my head, like top 20 in my age group, after never doing a race before. And
that's awesome.
It was like, oh, I need to do better. I can do this. Like, I got this. And now teaching and training myself 3 disciplines back to back to back is, oh man, it's like.
What does learning new things do for you?
Oh, it makes me excited. I get excited. I think it's all about expansion and also achievement.
What happens when you hit that like roadblock or plateau where you're just like, you're kind of struggling to get to that like next level of this game of progression in that sport, in that cookbook, in that recipe, in that whatever? Like what do you do?
I know I'm going to get there. So I listen to my body, and if I have to rest, then I rest, and then I get back on the horse.
And just keep going.
Keep going.
That's crazy. What does endurance sports, or I guess recently in the last 2 years, done for you? Because there's a lot of people out there, at least in my field, where I have a lot of powerlifting friends, a lot of Olympic lifting friends, a lot of calisthenic athletes, not a ton of Ironman triathletes. Like what has the pure endurance sport done for you that is different than any other type of fitness?
That's a great question, because I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to that. As I think fitness, it has such an array. There's like so many levels of fitness.
Yeah, and what there's so many aspects.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible. Like CrossFit blows my mind. Like I have no desire to do that, but I appreciate and respect a lot of people in that world.
Sure.
Endurance is something, for me personally, I think it's about mental strength.
Okay.
When your body's screaming, and it does scream, it really does scream, stop, like you're in pain and you're exhausted and you don't want to do anymore, your brain clicks in to going, you're going to keep going. You're going to keep going, and you're going to stay composed, and you're going to keep going. And I've never experienced anything like it. I've never experienced the pain that triathlon has shown me.
Can you describe the pain?
I mean, it's beyond exhausted. And it's like your muscles are tensing and your body is screaming, stop moving. Like you're running a half marathon after your 3-hour bike, after your 40-minute swim, which should be 37 minutes, but we're not there yet.
Getting there, guys.
Yeah. I just did a triathlon in Victoria 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, congrats. You just qualified for Worlds.
Yeah, insane. The whole thing's ridiculous, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I remember being on the bike going up a hill. My legs were like, we're good. Like, we're going to take a break now. And my brain was like, oh, no, you're not. Like, I looked at my watch and I was like, you have to beat 3 hours. Like, you keep going. Like, and it's a negotiation
with yourself
that I've never experienced in my life. And it's crazy. It's crazy. Because then in the real world, on a hard day, which I've had many.
Makes it easier.
Oh, man. I'm like, oh, wait a second. I got this.
Yeah.
I can do this.
That's the whole thing with like my clients too. I'm like, hey, this is the hardest part of your day. Besides this, you're good.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it makes like hard stuff like less hard. And I feel like you're a better person. I don't know. Fitness for me, like, if someone cuts me off, like, and I don't work out, I might get like slightly irritated. But,
interesting.
But like if I work out, like my whole body's like relatively like calm. That's why I think, in my opinion, that's what I think fitness does for us. Like, why does this crazy lady want to run a marathon and swim for so many miles and this and that and like have this hard negotiation with herself? And I was like, you sound crazy. But
you
then
also called me a lady, which I kind of love, and I was like, I didn't expect that.
Oh,
I love it.
No, okay.
No, I'm not offended.
Oh, okay.
By it.
Sorry. I was like, did I step on it?
No, it's just like, I'm a lady. I am a lady, yeah.
And I was like, sorry, I don't know what I'm offending you.
No, not at all. Not at all.
But objectively, it sounds like that. But then, like, you're talking about all the benefits and the joys and all this and that. And because, like, to someone out there who's not athletic, to someone who doesn't, like, eat well and X, Y, and Z, they're just like, yo, she's crazy. Why would you ever do that?
For sure.
I'm enjoying like my stimulation from a video game, a walk on my treadmill and this and that, and I'm good.
That's what makes life beautiful.
You know?
There's those people.
It's crazy.
We're all different. It's kind of amazing. And then you find your people and you attract, you attract a community. And then that's like, what's better than that?
Yeah. It's weird in LA. Tell me if you agree with this. I think the first 2 years were really tough. Mm-hmm. I guess like for me, just because like.
How long have you been here?
6 years now. And.
From where?
Fresno, California. Okay. So it's California, guys, but it's not what you think of California.
I can't wait to delve into that.
Well, it's basically just like a lot of farm town.
Okay.
And then there was like, at one point, it was like the #1 crime city in California for a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, growing up. But I grew up very like good.
Okay.
And it's a lot cheaper over there. And mostly all my friends who are well off over there are in the farm industry.
Yeah.
So like they provide all the almonds for like Costco and like berries.
Oh, we should talk. I want to talk to you about that.
Okay. We talk offline. Well, Fresno peppers too. Like they're everywhere. Right, that's the spicy Fresno peppers.
Yeah.
But what were we talking about right before that?
You said LA was hard.
Oh yeah,
the first 2 years.
Yeah, the community aspect of it. It wasn't until I have like a ton of bartending friends, a ton of fitness friends. I just started getting into running.
Yeah.
But mountain running. So there's trails. But it's weird. It's like barefoot sandal running in the mountains. And so we have this crew that we go, probably like 5 or 6 people. Have you heard of Vibram?
No.
So Vibram is like a hiking shoe, right?
Okay.
But they took the Vibram bottom and just put them on like a barefoot sandal. I'll show you them after.
Okay.
And we're running these mountains barefoot or in sandals, and people are just looking at us like we're crazy. Yeah. But like for us, it's like normal. So like I train at this gym right down the street. It's called Nomad. And like you go in there, everyone is just barefoot or in these sandals, and it's completely normal. But you go to a different gym, you look crazy, right? Yeah. So it's like being in a spot where like you fit in, like this is because like over here it is popular, like wearing these sandals popular. And for me, basically the science behind it's like you're grounded too, so it's a little bit of that, as well as like all these muscles in your feet don't get worked on with like a tiny fit-in shoe.
I've read a lot about this.
You know, and so like once I started doing it, like squatting, running, X, Y, and Z in it, I don't have ankle pain, knee pain, hip pain. It's all gone.
Huh.
And so like it worked for me. And then people see me running in the mountains with these shoes, and like I'm a relatively fit guy. They're like, what does he know that I don't?
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, like what? Explain.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so you build relationships off of that.
Off that too. But back to the community part, it's like you could not fit in a place where you don't share the same values. For that, it's barefoot running. For you, it might be like this, for example, the hot dog pizza thing.
Yeah.
It's really fucking with you, it sounds like.
Because I want to do good.
Yes,
I want him to enjoy the food.
Yes. It's like not your forte.
Right.
It's not your, I was like, what is this?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And it's difficult to be in that situation.
Right. Yeah, but wait, bring that back to community.
Yeah, so the community aspect of it's like, yo, so everyone is benefiting from these sandals, right?
Right.
Or like, I'm trying to get really good at powerlifting too. So at a different gym, I'm wearing shoes there. I'm wearing heavy lifting shoes and belts and barbells and all this stuff. And those belts and barbells, belts and like knee sleeves and everything like that, don't go well with the barefoot place.
Okay, but this bring this back to like how we are not one thing.
Yeah.
We're a lot of things.
A lot of things.
And it's so exciting every day to be like, what am I wearing today? What's the look that I'm going for today? What's the thing I'm doing today? Like, we're so lucky that we get to sort of delve into all these different parts of us and then find other people that have those same parts similar parts. And then you connect because everything's, I get the most joy out of connecting.
Sure. And there's so many parts to you that you could fit in other groups too, right? So like there's the food part, the fitness part, the triathlete part. But the triathlete part, some of those people might not fit in with the cooking part.
100%. Or like I'll say this. Where I am in my life right now, the duality between growing up in Vancouver in the mountains, camping, being out, not on social media, like, hiking, camping, swimming in lakes, doing that. Is such a huge part of me and it brings a lot of joy. Coming back to LA, living in Beverly Hills, my day-to-day life, my car, my access to things, that's also really rewarding for me. So I have people in Vancouver look at my life like, what? Like, they're just like...
Like what?
Well, my mom said to me the other day, she's like, so-and-so and so-and-so have been living vicariously through you forever. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. I've heard that a lot because I don't think I live a very conventional life. Although nowadays, I'm sure everybody on Instagram would feel that
What's
way.
conventional?
That's, as I said it, I was like, we all live unique lives. Sure.
But no, I don't think so.
Oh.
I agree with you to a certain standpoint.
Can they see your... I hope you cut to that moment. That was hilarious. I didn't see that coming. Okay, what do you mean?
So, like, I agree to a certain extent, but when I was 15, I got my first job in a restaurant. It was a sushi spot, right? Before I became a sushi chef, I was like a dishwasher, then a busboy, then worked as a server, and then they asked me to be like, hey, a chef walked out, he was like, yo, kid, you want to learn how to make some sushi? We need someone right now. So that's kind of how it went down. But I'll go back, and that was over 12 years ago, right?
Okay.
And I go back and I'll see the same people there, right? They're doing the exact same stuff and they don't have a direction. They're just living. They're just like, I'm gonna go to work, I'm gonna come home, I'm gonna pay for my bills, this and that. There's no creativity there. There's no try to grow, and that's fine. And I think that in my head is what I think conventional is.
Oh, that's really well said. That's really well said.
Versus over here, this is why I love LA. And like, I know there's shitty parts of it. Like I watch, have you heard of the show Soft White Underbelly?
No, I don't own a TV.
It's on YouTube.
Oh, great.
Soft White Underbelly. Yeah. Yeah, fun. It's cool. But this show, basically, there's this guy who lives in the Palisades, and he comes down to Skid Row every single day.
Yeah.
And he gives out money. He's known as the White Santa Claus.
Oh.
And he just gives people money and asks them to do interviews, right? And it puts shit in perspective in my head because I don't know about like the gang life, the prostitute life, the drug addict life, and he's interviewing all these type of people, and it puts that perspective in my head. And why did I go there? I went there because we talked about conventional and LA. So regardless of the bad shit that happens in LA, people who I meet out here, they could be a bartender, a chef, a actor, a whatever. But they almost everyone in, I guess, the space that I'm in, they're all chasing something. They're all trying to grow in some way. I'm like, why are you like training for this marathon or this why am I doing a powerlifting meet? Like there's like people are growing in every way, and it's super inspiring. I'm inspired by people every day.
Yeah, me
here.
too. Yeah.
Here.
I think there's two things. I think LA tends to attract a type of personality where people want to live big. People want to achieve big. This is the land of opportunity. It's a very colorful place to live in that you don't necessarily...
It's Pride Month, guys.
Oh, it is Pride Month. That's right. Very colorful. Right. So, but it's that. It's what you just said. We celebrate not being in the middle of the bell curve. We celebrate not average. We strive out here to be unique and to be exceptional, I think, in many ways. And not that doesn't happen around the world, but I think LA is a hub for a certain type of person who wants to dream big. And it's kind of incredible.
I also feel like weird is normal.
What is weird?
Weird is something that's
different?
Not conventional and different. So basically the definition that I said, when I first moved out here, I would go home and film workouts at my gym. And everyone, all these bodybuilder like jack guys are like, what are you doing? Like, why are you filming yourself working out and stuff like that? I was like, oh, I guess that's not cool.
Why were you filming yourself?
Because I wanted to show people the fitness stuff.
So you wanted to teach?
Good. Yeah, that's the definition of it.
Yeah, you wanted to teach.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
I know, but like over there, that was weird. And over here, it is normal. Like everyone films their workouts here.
Everyone films themselves constantly. It's like kind of ridiculous.
I know. As we're filming ourselves right now.
Anyway, how do I look?
You look great. I love that. Thanks. What are you most excited for in your life right now?
Everything. Everything. I have no idea from one day to the next where my life is going.
I love that.
I just don't. I don't have like... I'm a yes and kind of gal.
Yes and.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you want to go do that? Yep, let's go do it. You want to go here? Yep, let's go do it. It's like, I feel really lucky, but I also built my life that way. I didn't get married, have kids. I didn't do like the traditional thing. I'm a real adventure seeker in that, like, I don't know what is going to be next. Yeah,
the unknown. And the unknown's a beautiful spot to be.
I love it.
And when people ask me, like, oh, what's your 5-year plan? Or this and that. Or, like, what's your goals? And I was like, I don't know. And they'll be like, what are you talking about? You need to know, blah, blah. I was like, why?
I think having focus is different to having like a 5-year plan, right? Like I think my focus is launching my energy bars. Yeah. My focus.
Shouts out Vikki Energy.
Yeah, Vikki Energy. Thank you.
They're over here. This is what it looks like, guys. But she doesn't want me to eat them because they're not the
they're not the new ones.
The updated.
They're not the reformulated. They're coming out next month. Sweet. But yeah, my focus is successfully relaunching my company. Okay. My focus is doing well at this World Champs Triathlon in Finland. My focus is like day to day, having harmonious interactions with people.
That's a great perspective.
Yeah,
I didn't really think about that because I used to be like a goal oriented person. and I don't know if I am now. Like, obviously you want to strive towards things, right? And I guess focus is a good word for it. And I would always be let down because I didn't hit the goal, right? So if it's like a dollar amount, or if it's a follower amount, or if it's a weight amount on the scale, and you don't hit that, I would kind of be like, oh, that's not cool. Like, and you put yourself down. Versus if you just say like, I'm gonna focus on being fit, I'm gonna focus on doing well in this aspect of your life, there's no really letdown. It's just like, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, you're focusing.
Yeah.
And you're cheerleading yourself because you see the success, and you're like, you know, it's achievable and attainable, and you believe that you can do it. And so you're just going to focus your way into it.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. Like, I love it. I wake up, first of all, ever since I can remember, I hated going to sleep.
Okay.
I hate sleep. It's really good for you, and I get it now, and I understand the rest. But like, I'm like, let's get the day.
Where does your energy come from? Like, it's infective right now. Just because I was like, I'm drinking caffeine right now. I know you had a coffee earlier.
I didn't. I haven't. This is it. I haven't even opened it.
Oh, you haven't even opened the coffee.
No.
Okay.
I don't really drink coffee for caffeine. I drink it because I like the flavor.
Okay. Well, there's actually some health benefits to black coffee.
There is. Yeah. I mean, but I don't have the caffeine. My energy level is
not dependent on any substance.
No, it's like enthusiasm for life.
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds, I want to hate myself for saying that. But
you sound like a hippie over here.
Well, but it's true.
No, it's
like,
true.
I just have this like insatiable appetite for life and like what's to come and what I can build and who I can meet. Like, I don't know you. This is so fun. Like, the fact that I'm here, I'm like, how did this even happen? But I'm just like, fuck yeah. Yeah. Like, that's so cool. Now we're friends. Now we can have this. I can help you however I can help you. I can
play golf.
Support you. I want to go play golf for sure.
I'll have your VK energy bars on the podcast.
Yeah, I would love that. I'll taste your bitters. I'll make some, some cool recipes with those. No, but it's like added value.
Sure.
We get to now be like positive forces in each other's lives. Yeah. And like, that's amazing. Yeah. Because there's a lot of stress in the world. So like, I don't want to focus on that.
What happens when you run into someone who's not a positive force?
Oh, well, give me an example. Because there's a lot of those people.
Yeah. So you're in a group of friends, and one person is being a negative Nancy, and I'm not saying this would happen, but like negative Nancy on like some aspect of your life. Probably wouldn't happen. But if it does, what would you do?
I try to understand their perspective.
Versus get like offended.
I don't really get offended that easily. I always think, I don't take things that personally. The Four Agreements is a great book.
It is a great book.
But in that same mindset, like, not everybody's gonna be positive, or people are gonna be threatened by my positivity. Or
that's also a good pillar in the Four Agreements of like, always do your best.
Always. You never know.
Yeah.
Always do your best. For you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. You can't be disappointed if you do your best.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think negative people teach me a lot. They teach me, they remind me how to be composed. They remind me how to like be empathetic toward them. Maybe they're having a bad day, or they're not, when someone cuts you off or someone's rude to you, I never immediately go like, oh, it's me.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're having a tough time.
Yeah.
What can I do? One guy, this is one story, and I don't even know if you'll air this, but it's an interesting story. I was at Whole Foods Beverly Hills, tiny little parking lot, underground. It's a shitty parking lot.
I've been there.
Yeah, it sucks. Anyway, one guy took my parking spot while I was waiting.
Okay.
He was in a Bentley.
Wait, how do you take your parking spot?
So I was waiting for one, and he came around. I mean, the parking structure is this big.
Yeah.
He somehow came around and took it and
looked at me. This is a good example.
Great example. I was like, whoa, what just happened? I couldn't even believe it. I was like, he blatantly just... anyway, I took a second. I was like, okay. Went to another parking spot.
Yeah.
And I ended up writing him a note and putting it on his car. And
What
the
did he
note
say?
said... I think I have a picture of it. I must have taken a picture of it. The note said, like, good morning, blah, 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 It seems to me like something doesn't feel good in your life. And so my hope for you is that you read this note and you understand that, like, it doesn't we don't have to treat people that way.
Do you have pen and paper on yourself at all times?
I do.
I love that.
I'm old school. And I wrote him this note, and I just like wished him a beautiful day. And I just said like, and I do that with people that confront me and that are rude. I'm like, I'm so sorry for you. Wow. Like, hold on a second. What's happening for you right now? Yeah. Like, you're obviously,
just keep putting good into the world.
I try.
Yeah.
But authentically, I'm not like, some rainbows and butterfly like asshole. I mean, I have my moments.
Sure. But everyone does. But okay, so I wanted to talk about body image real quick, because you talked about having, do you think it was like you suffered from a body dysmorphia stuff?
Yes. I think it was sort of like thrown at me. Okay. I don't think I thought of it naturally. I was an athlete.
Sure.
But when someone decided that my athletic body was not an actress's body, it made me question, what is my body?
So I had this, I don't know her title, but she manages a home for eating disorders. Mm-hmm. So people pay a lot of money for a family member to go in and get treated. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I think 5 people most, this whole house of to get treated for these eating disorders. And when she was telling me, describing each one and just like the way it affected their life, and it sounds like you got out of it, right? Like you're like, you came out on the good end. Some people like cycle through it. I guess like what's your advice to anyone out there going through any type of like body eating disorder or anything like that, or images with their body? Like what advice do you have to tell them, or like how, or just explain like how you got out?
Oh, it's such a good question. It's such a loaded question, because I got out of it because I valued my fitness. I valued what was being put down more than it making me feel bad. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So like, I think recognizing that we're all different, and that even though we live in a world of comparison constantly, and we're in billboards and social media and all that, it's really difficult. I think celebrating who we are and like our shape, I'm still not thrilled. I mean, there's things about me that I wish were different, but I also kind of laugh at that now. I'm like, what does that mean? I think there's like a level of maturity that comes along with like appreciating who you are. Yeah. And if I could tell my younger self to do it faster, I probably would. And so I would say to anybody out there, which we all struggle, and I mean, I'm not, the poster child for like the best version of myself, but I definitely think celebrating our differences and celebrating the things that, like, turn it around. Like if you don't like your legs, or you think your arms are weird or whatever, it's like, look at them and like give attention to that, and like turn it around. Like, I love my arm. My arm is the thing that does this, and my arm is, and I know it can sound a little corny and a little cheesy, but the more you do that, the more you start to like really respect that this is our machine. Yeah,
you only got one.
This is our machine.
You got one meat sack through this lifetime.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it. Yeah. Yeah. So celebrate the differences. Yeah. It's not always easy because we always want something we don't have, or we have that thing.
It's like the thing is like, comparison's a thief of joy, right?
Comparison sucks. Yeah. What is comparison? I mean, celebrate you. Yeah. There's one of you. There's one of you. Can you believe that there's one of us? Like,
do you think about this at all? Your parents, everyone's parents, had to have sex at the perfect time and be that one tiny sperm that gets all the way through. Yeah. And it's like 1 in a bazillion chance of you being a human.
Yeah. I think about it all the time. Yeah. I think about my life like that all the time.
The likelihood of anyone being here is like close to 0.
Yeah. And like, here we are. Poof. Like, we're here. Yeah. It's beautiful. It's like magic. There's a lot of magic so anytime like we feel bad about ourselves, or anytime anybody feels bad about themselves, I feel like if you can muster it up, turn it around. Like
dig deep and
just love it. Yeah. Oh my God, my nose is whatever. I love my nose. My voice. Listen to my voice. Do you think I do podcasts often? No, I don't, because it's a little.
It's a dope voice. It's good.
Thank you, but I've been told otherwise. And so, but now I'm just like, that's my voice. Yeah. So here it is.
Yeah. But like, you were an actor, so obviously like it was unique in a way that people thought it was should be on TV?
Yes and no. There was like forums that people would be like, I can't stand her voice.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And I'd read them at like 16, 17 years old.
How was getting relatively, I don't know if the word's famous, but attention at a young age? Like, how was that like? Because there's a lot of childhood actors who are very messed up in adulthood because of the abundant amount of attention that they got early on.
I don't know that I was on a Lifetime TV series, so I was like partially famous. I loved inspiring. So like anybody that would stop me on the road that saw the show and like said something to me or wanted to do that, like to me it was like, who are you? What's your name? Like I was so interested in them. And so I felt like it was this.
You're a unicorn. That's crazy.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
Yo.
Can we post that? I love the idea of a unicorn. Actually, 2 people have told me I've been a unicorn in my lifetime. That's kind of a fun thing.
Oh, am I the second or the third?
You're the third, but like when I was a child, like random people would bring that up. It was interesting. Thank you for that.
Well,
but yeah.
Because like a lot of people are me people, right? And the thing I love about this podcast is like I get to learn about other humans, you know? And the fact that you got slapped over and someone's like, hey, Vicki, like you're on this TV show, like blah blah, like asking all you questions, and you're open-minded enough and interested enough to ask about them.
Oh yeah.
That's in my opinion not the quote unquote normal narrative of Hollywood. Yeah. Right? Because everyone wants to be on that billboard. Everyone wants to be that season regular, and it's me.
No, I mean, yes, and I work for all those me's, by the way, so I got like both sides of it. Yeah. For me, honestly, and to this day, it's the same thing. Yeah. It's like that gave me access to more people. Yeah. And more people is very interesting to me because I can learn from everyone. Yeah. And I think connecting with somebody who looks up to me, I mean, that's like such a privilege. I'm like, you know, how wonderful. So who are you that you look up to? Like, I'm curious about you. Like, teach me something. Sure. It's disarming people too. Yeah. We're all the same. I don't care how famous you are, how much money you have, or who you are. I mean, I respect that, but like, what makes you so different?
How is that? How is working for...
Some are great and some are not.
Uber.
Some are awesome, and most of them, to be completely honest, are pretty miserable. Yeah. Because I think they're really disconnected to themselves.
Yeah. It's weird because like I have not to the extent of you, but I have a couple like pretty big clients like in the personal training realm. Yeah. And they live in big mansions and stuff like that. And they have their own gyms and X, Y, and Z. And I was like, why do I seem more happy than you? Like, I was like, I tell me what you think about this. I think uber successful people don't have something that you don't. They lack something you have.
Uber successful people have something, don't have something that
you don't. They lack something you have.
Oh, interesting. That's a really interesting sentence.
Like a lot of people, have you watched Last Dance? Michael Jordan's documentary?
Yes, I loved that.
And like he just wasn't satisfied from not winning. He had to win. It was, I don't know if you could say like a disorder or X, Y, and Z. He just had to. It was like the absolute need. And like he went to dark places to get there, you know? And so like he just didn't have the comfortability that you have of just like, oh, like I did well today. I did good enough. I worked hard. No, he's like, I need to win. Yeah. I absolutely need to win or else like I'm going to go crazy. Yeah. And
it's where you put your value. It's where you feel you're most valuable, I would think. Yeah. I mean, why do we do anything? Why are we driven to do anything? We find value in things. And
yeah, it's back to the purpose thing. I feel like a lot of people say they're trying to find their purpose, right? But objectively, I think about this a lot, and I was like, does anything matter?
I always think this. I said this to my mom the other day. I was like kind of aggravated over something, and I was like, who the fuck cares? What does it matter? What does any of this matter? Like, it doesn't. Yeah. So I think having a sense of humor, which we haven't touched on, is the gold of life. Yeah. Sense of humor. And also when you say people are looking for their purpose, the one thing that I was taught, and I honestly don't know where I read this or if someone said this to me, but it's like instilled in me. We know everything. It's in us. So quiet down, take that pause, and like your answer's there. It's not out here. It's not.
How do we know everything?
You just do. It's intuition. It's gut. It's all built in.
Okay.
So if you don't know, I mean, you could ask. You could say, okay, I need some clarity right now, and like try to follow, a silent or your breath, or just quiet down. We're too noisy. Everything's so distracting. We're constantly distracted.
Yeah.
Come back to you where it matters, where we're the only thing that matters. None of this matters. And when I say that, I don't mean that like we don't strive to build things. We don't live in homes. I mean, it's not going to give us the answer. The answer's here. It genuinely is inside of us. If we can just quiet everything down and feel what we feel, it will direct us. It will guide us. We have a guidance system built in. We have a system that is built inside of us to help us.
How did you discover that?
I've known that my whole life. Like I used to write diaries, and my parents used to fight a lot, and I used to sit in my room, and I have them all like since I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I would write. And I would write what I felt, and I would write what I wished. I'd always pray in my diaries, like, I hope my parents stop fighting. I hope we win the lottery. I used to always pray to win the lottery because we had no money. But who was I doing that to? It was like myself. You know what I mean?
Because you're so confident in saying that so truthfully, right? And I'm just like, and I'm questioning myself because you sound so confident and like that's not a reality for me.
Okay.
I mean, like it's just foreign to me.
Yeah.
Like that
Which part?
That everything, that your body knows everything, and you got to follow your intuitions. And
do you have gut moments? Do you ever think to yourself, I know I should do this. I'm going to make a right. You do that, right?
Yeah.
Strengthen that. Trust it. The more we trust in our intuition, the easier we are guided. Because we just know.
I like that. What does comedy do for you? Or I guess like, what's it called? Laughter? No, what did you say?
Sense of humor?
Sense of humor? I'll give you a quick story real quick. So
okay.
I did not want to go to college. I came, my mom's from Laos, my dad was from the Philippines. My mom came from like a communist country to where like some dark shit. Like she escaped swimming through like a river of dead bodies and shit. Like it was really, really intense stuff. Like her life experience makes mine like really easy. Wow. Right.
I want to get into that off podcast.
Yeah, we could do it off podcast. And so they always wanted the best for me, and from our household and a lot of Asian households, it's like doctor, lawyer, engineer, period, end of story. That's your perfect ideal definition of like a success. That is what it means to be successful in the United States from those countries, right? And so I just never wanted to be that, but I just wanted to like, okay, I'll do the college thing, right? So I wanted to be a professional golfer for the longest time, and I decided to pursue it because I don't want to live life without regret. So I got into a couple colleges for golf, but then I tore a ligament in my wrist. So I went to community college, and my parents were like, "What the fuck's my son doing?" Right? Yeah. So I did well and realized I didn't want to be I couldn't be because I just wasn't skilled enough. So I was like, okay, now we'll never regret it. So I decided to go to like UCLA. I was like, hey, if you guys pay for it, I'll go, make you happy. But after that, I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want to do. Okay. And I was really down. I just didn't like school. I was like, I felt deep down I wanted to be creative and make things, and I knew I was really good at talking to people. That's the biggest thing. And I was just like, I don't know what I could do with that. And now I know what I could do with that.
Yeah. You followed
the intuition. But I went to a comedy show for the first time, and I was a big fan of Joe Rogan at the time, and he always talked about the Comedy Store. And so the first show that I ever went to was Whitney Cummings, Joe Rogan, Adam Devine. I'm pretty sure Chappelle showed up.
Yeah.
And
what a lineup.
Yeah, and John Mayer like showed up too because they're good friends. And I laughed my face off. Like the next day, my cheeks were hurting. Yeah. Like I've never laughed that hard in my entire life. Yeah. And
what's better?
Yeah.
There's nothing. What's better than that?
I mean,
that euphoric feeling of laughter.
Yeah. It's up there. I mean, there's other dopamine things.
Yeah, of course. But that's pretty high up there.
That is high up there.
Yeah.
It's top top 3 in my
that you
opinion.
can access is what I should say.
That you could access
pretty easily. Yeah.
From like a video
Yeah.
or XYZ. And that made me realize the importance of humor.
That moment, that like experience.
That experience.
How great.
Well, the thing is, I was depressed, and then the next day I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's insane. That's weird.
Yeah.
Like, how did that experience make me forget about all the shit that I don't like about like my life?
Okay, wait. Let's circle back, and I don't know how you're going to edit this, but this is really big.
Usually I don't edit them, so.
Oh, great. Okay, here's the thing. Wait, I had something really important. Okay, your dolphin story. Mm-hmm. And I said when you're feeling off, go back to the dolphin story. Okay. So what you're saying is the day after you had this like incredible feeling, you weren't feeling shitty anymore. Yeah. Because you remembered how great you felt the night before, and that residue made you feel great.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying about life.
Yeah.
Go to a happy place.
Go to happy places.
Every single person that is watching this right now or listening to this right now has a happy place.
Yes.
Might not be right now.
Yeah.
Go to that.
Go to it.
Live it. Live in it. And allow amazing coincidences and serendipity and all great things to come into your life in the next 24 to 48 hours.
It's possible.
It is. It will happen.
Yeah.
It will happen.
What does humor do for you then? Because you're the one who brought it up.
I can't imagine life without humor.
Were you always like laughing and giddy growing up?
Yeah, I was pretty giggly. You know, we have a South African sense of, I'm from South Africa, so it's very similar to British humor. Okay. I love British humor. And I think it also just kind of, I don't know, it takes the edge off of life, laughing. You know, laughing at yourself.
Don't take it too seriously.
Yeah. It's like, nobody knows what we're doing.
Yeah.
So silly. This whole thing's so silly. What are we doing right now? It's all silly. Like this, I mean, it's just...
Bouncing ideas off each other.
Yeah, but we're just communicating. Sure. But we've got all this other stuff, which is hilarious and great. Yeah. And you're building a career off of it. Cool. And I think you're wonderful. So I'm so excited about your life, by the way. I'm so excited that we're in each other's lives. This is going to be great. Yeah, I don't know. I think humor's hilarious. I mean, yeah.
That's awesome. What's your favorite food to make?
I know you can come up with a better question than that.
What's your favorite dish? No, I'm asking you.
Everybody asks me that. I thought maybe...
Oh, so you didn't like it? You don't want it?
No, we can have it. I don't want to not have it. Maybe that wasn't the nicest way for me to respond.
That just shows me that you don't have one.
I just... Okay, my favorite dish would be you going, hey, Vicki, go cook something that I have in my kitchen. With if you didn't have anything and I could create something beautiful.
What's your favorite food to eat for yourself?
Fish.
Okay.
Salmon.
Salmon. Love salmon. Don't like raw salmon.
Love raw, belly, skin.
All the above.
The babies. I love all of it.
What's the most important kitchen appliance for someone to have?
Outside of like the normal stuff, like pots, pans, that kind of thing?
Pots, pans, knives, take that out.
A microplane.
I don't even know what that is.
A microplane is a zester. And you should. Oh, sorry.
I do have a zester.
For your stuff?
Yeah, I got a zester.
Okay, so a microplane, you can zest all kinds of citrus and things. And
why is that the most important out of everything else?
Because I think you can pop flavor.
Pop flavor, okay.
You can create flavor using a microplane really quickly, and I think it's a really cool tool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
If I would say if you have money and you want to go spend something, get a vacuum sealer.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's like to put all the flavors.
Yeah, you can compress flavor.
Compress flavors.
Yeah.
What is the most important fitness movement for you? Like that you think everyone should do?
Dance.
Dance.
Oh my God, wiggle. Wiggle. I've never said that out loud, I don't think. Wiggle.
I've never heard that. Because most people will say like a squat, hanging, and this and that. Why wiggle?
I don't know. Get the blood flow. Okay, try wiggle and not smile. Try say wiggle. Not smile. Wiggle. Wake up in the morning and just shake, move, whatever. Like, wiggle.
Wiggle.
I feel like we got to bring that word back. I just did. Wiggle.
Okay. So the most important fitness move is wiggle. Is that your favorite one too?
Your face.
Is that your favorite one too?
My favorite. I'm No, I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I think my favorite fitness movement.
Yeah.
I like planking.
Planking. Planking's boring. Why do you like it so much? You just stay still in a position.
I think I don't know. I just planked in the sauna last night. Why do I like planking? I feel like it utilizes your whole body. It's also mental strength. If you can plank for more than 2 minutes, you're kind of like rock solid.
Vicki's saying she's rock solid, guys.
I mean, look at me. I don't know.
Okay.
It just came to be the thing that I like. What's your favorite fitness move?
It switches. Right now, it's gonna be a bench press, just because I'm doing those movements a lot to get good for a fitness competition.
Okay.
Last year, I was trying to do 50 pull-ups straight. I didn't hit it. I hit 33 straight, which is like a lot.
Yeah.
So I would say that was my biggest one. Yeah, the pull-up. I think after this powerlifting meet, I think it's gonna be like running, because like honestly, my favorite thing right now, experience-wise in life, is probably running the mountains, kind of barefooted with those sandals, and with a little bit of marijuana in me, with no phone. So phone, it's the only time that I like, besides podcasting, that I cut off completely from social media and phone. I throw it in the car. It's just me one-on-one with nature, elevated senses because of the marijuana, and like you're running on mountains, and then you look down and you see all of LA. You see downtown on a clear day, you'll see the beach, you'll see every aspect of LA, and you're just like, wow, everyone's small.
Yeah.
And the shit that you do most days doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And just enjoy what you're doing.
Yes, go to enjoyment. Go to the joyful place.
Yeah. But looking at it from like a God's point of view, of just like, this is like my creation. But like, yo, in that big building, someone's complaining about a meeting over here. In the beach, people are vacationing. Like, you could see it. You could physically see it from a God's eye, or an eagle's eye, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And it just gives me a sort of
perspective,
peace and perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
So that's my favorite movement right now.
That's
I mean, like
awesome.
after,
I love that. And I totally relate and understand that for sure.
Yeah.
Out in the mountains, running, using your body the way we're meant to use it.
And also, people don't use them in LA. They just like don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the feet thing that's like a real...
That's a big thing too. Yeah. I recommend.
Oh, I might try them. I've never used them.
Yeah, I'll show you them after. You want to talk about VK Energy real quick?
VK
Energy bars?
Yeah.
Why did you start it?
Seth McFarlane, who was a client of mine for a decade, amazing.
If you guys don't know who Seth MacFarlane is, he's the writer of Family Guy.
Yeah, creator, Family Guy. He's also many things, including an incredible human being.
Okay. One of the good ones.
Oh, he's a wonderful man. He was drinking a lot of coffee.
Okay.
And when he was shooting the Orville, the pilot, and basically had to like come up with a different version of caffeine. And then he started doing B12 shots on set, and it was very costly. Not that that mattered, but it was also very time consuming. And there was this like trigger inside of me going, I'm his chef of a decade. I should be able to feed him.
How was it time consuming?
Well, you had to stop shooting. The nurse came on set. He had to go get the thing done. It was like...
I thought you were talking about shots like
no, like a needle.
Oh, a needle.
Yeah, and by the way, like nobody really wants a needle, but you know, I think in LA we're
Some
all
people
used
do, guys.
Well said. You're well said. It just kind of dawned on me that like there's no food on the market that is like a B12 shot, and so I created one.
Yeah,
I made it.
And so that's what the void that it's filling.
Yeah, it's a caffeine alternative B12 bar.
So there's no caffeine in it?
There's no caffeine. And
how is it a caffeine alternative?
Well, so B12 naturally boosts energy. Okay. And the thing about B12, vitamin B12, I mean, if you've ever had a B12 shot, people will understand that.
Sure.
There's no crash. So like what we would do is we would go fly to London or New York, or, you know, I'd travel with him. And so then we'd get off the plane and it'd be like 4:00 in London, and we'd both be either wide awake or exhausted. So you'd immediately want to go get like a coffee or something to keep you going. I thought having a B12 bar where you can eat it and it doesn't affect your jet lag and it doesn't make you tired or make you stay awake when you don't want to was like a real hole in the market.
No, it sounds like it.
I'm so excited about them. Like, you have no idea.
Is it just like, what else besides the B12s? Like, what ingredients make it so high in B12
it's
and
the
nutrients?
pure B12. But what's great about these bars is there's no chemical stabilizer. So if you look at like I don't want to name names, but all the bars on the market, and congratulations to all of them because it's a really hard thing to do to get a bar on the market.
Sure.
But I would say 99% of them, in my research, and I've been doing this for 4 years now, have a chemical stabilizer or something in there that is chemically allowing the bar to sit on the shelf for over a year or to taste sweeter than it is.
Get bad.
They get bad.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like a 10-month shelf life.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with. I don't think I really want anything on the shelf that's going to last longer than that.
Yeah.
But I'm really proud of these. They're a chef-crafted, vitamin-powered bar. That's like my whole
we love that.
thing with that. And they're unique flavors, so you're not going to get like your cake batter or your peanut butter bar. They're like almond rosemary and Meyer pistachio and cocoa and sea salt, but also preserved with rosemary. So they're not super sweet. They're really...
Yeah,
wonderful.
That's beautiful because like even, Quest Nutrition, Tom Bilyeu even talks about it on his like podcast and stuff. He's like, I only eat, if I ever have one, is like a quarter because there's so much sugar in it.
Sugar and sugar alcohols.
But
and
the fact that he's saying that about his own product is crazy.
Yeah, but they sold for like $1 billion. And Quest was an insane, they're legends, what they did. Shannon and Ron, all of them. I've worked with Shannon and Ron, and they're wonderful and brilliant and kind of mentored me a little bit. But basically, my bar is the polar opposite of a Quest bar.
Sure.
So if you're into Quest, these are not for you. These are...
If you're into caffeine alternatives and nutrients, guys.
Yeah, if you're into nutrients and you want a convenient bar... These are for you. But I'm also launching a bite that's coming out, which is even more exciting.
I love bites.
I do too.
I used to do the On It bites.
I don't know those.
Have you heard of the company On It?
No, but should I?
I think so.
Okay.
It's On It nutrition and supplement stuff. They had all the kettlebells that they basically made kettlebells dope again. Like they had monkey looking kettlebells, and then they had Star Wars like they literally molded kettlebells to like different characters and this and that. And they made kettlebells like super popular probably like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Okay.
And it kind of spiked like this kettlebell, like everyone uses kettlebells now.
Yeah.
And it's because of this company, but they also started like this nutrition brand. And have you heard of Alpha Brain?
Yes.
So Alpha Brain is an On It supplement.
Okay.
And similar to like kind of what you're saying, all natural nootropics and stuff like that help you stay more alert, keep your memory on check, everything like that, and it's all natural, right? So we talked about that because they have these bites that they had like if you want to do some research on like their bite size and everything like that, it was my favorite bite energy thing.
Oh, I'm totally gonna look into this.
Yeah, and it was like I didn't know how to taste it so good, and I looked in the back and it looked like most of the stuff was like solid, like pretty healthy for you and everything like that. So
that's the other thing, which is a different podcast on like looking at nutritional labels and recognizing how unhealthy healthy things look. Yeah. That's like a thing. But that's something that like, that's my whole focus with these was like, I'm actually going to make a balanced bar that isn't full of shit.
Yeah.
Not full of shit in ingredients, but like pretending that it's healthy when it isn't.
A good example, guys, is a client of mine. He was like, I'm not eating potato chips anymore. I'm eating these banana chips. And I was like, the banana chips have got way more sugar than potato chips. You should probably eat potato chips, dude.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think people's perspective of like what's healthy is interesting. Keto people will look at that and, it's like everybody has their own like association with healthy.
Yeah.
Mine was that I just didn't want chemicals in these. There's no bar on the market that does not have a chemical shelf stabilizer and that tastes as unique as these.
What is, I guess, the healthy diet for you? Like, if you had to describe, like, someone's trying to be healthy, what would you say? Like, what's a healthy diet?
I don't know if I'm overly qualified to talk about that. I mean, I feel like a healthy diet is like what feels best for you. There's no one size fits all. I think staying away from processed foods is like a pretty non-negotiable in my world. Again, why I made those, they are made in an extruder. So like when I say processed, I mean cracker, anything in a box.
Yeah.
Like it's not great for us. It's
Sure.
all
It's
processed.
processed.
Right. And so those are not, which is wonderful. But aside from that, I think it's like eating fresh produce and fruits and proteins that haven't been in a truck, and that are as fresh as possible would be my way of saying that's the healthiest thing you can eat.
Do you think...
And drink a ton of water.
Ton of water.
Water.
Drink a ton of water.
Yeah.
Why do you think, I guess, the world or the United States has so much processed food now?
Money. It's all about money.
But I feel like a lot of people, especially nowadays, are very educated on health, or at least more so.
Yeah.
But there is way more processed stuff.
I don't think we're really going to rid that. I think cost effective. I think
it's cheaper. It's cheaper to eat bad.
People say that, and I hear why they say that, and I get it. But I think it's education. I think you can go spend $8 on a Happy Meal or whatever that costs, and you can also go get a banana for 19 cents at Trader Joe's. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know that it's cheaper to eat bad. I think it's maybe more convenient to eat poorly. But I think if you're educated, you can go buy some pretty healthy things for less than $10.
Yeah, but then there's like the $30 like pack of strawberries.
Yeah, at Air One. Yeah. Can you believe that? So
I went to I it was the closest place near me at the time. I got honey and a few oranges for cocktails, right? And
for $412.
So the honey that I got, I think, was $38, and each orange was $6.
That's upsetting. That's upsetting, because if you go down the street, most people have like orange trees, you could just go pick one. But anyway, outside of that, that's upsetting and like offensive, and I hate everything about that.
Well, also, I went in Japan, there's these like $100 like pineapples and stuff.
That's
like,
a little different.
What's
to
difference?
Go to a grocery store and have to spend $30 on Harry's strawberries is insanity. Guys, go to the farmer's market. $6. I'm serious.
There's a lot of good farmers markets out here.
We're
guys.
in California. Vicki's
giving you guys a call to action. Don't go to Erewhon anymore.
I'm not. Listen, people have like die-hard like love affairs with Erewhon. I am not that person. I am
weird.
Like Brentwood Farmers Market. Let's go.
It's so weird that everyone flexes on their Erewhon smoothies.
It's an ego-driven.
Yeah.
They've done a great job.
How?
They just did a great job of marketing all of that.
Well, I think price is a big thing too. It's like this professor was on the podcast, and he had a fitness training business, and he was like, my price tag's my value, right? And so people also perceive your product to be good or better based on the price. It's like, oh, it's over $100, it must be good.
Yes.
Right? So like, I've worked at a lot of restaurants, and there's some restaurants I worked at, and I'm like, why do people come in here? Right? And I was like, the price tag is so high that people just perceive it as valuable.
Yeah, they're disconnected to themselves.
It's weird.
They want to be perceived a certain way.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of like what it's all about in some way. And I just always think, I'm not here to preach anything. I just feel like connect to yourself. Like, what matters to you?
Yeah.
Is like going to Air One and spending $54 on lunch, like the thing that matters to you? Awesome. If that makes you feel so good and that's wonderful, great.
Yeah.
Like awesome. Like there's no bad.
Check your box.
Yeah, do you.
Yeah.
But like before you leave and get into your car to go to Air One to go spend $42 on a sandwich, like, what is that? I don't know. I mean, everybody has their own thing, right? So I'm just big on like connect to you, what matters to you, and like live and operate from that place, because like you'll just be a better person.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Before we close up, how was being on the Recipe Rehab?
The best thing that ever happened to me.
On CBS.
It was the best thing that ever happened.
You don't do it anymore, right?
No, I wish we did that. We changed so many people's lives.
Can you explain what it is?
Yeah, so Recipe Rehab was this incredible show on CBS. We took traditional family recipes and we rehabbed them into healthier versions. And what was so great about it was that you had these like two professional chefs, me and Richard Rosendale, who's like one of my favorite people in life, and Yvette Rios, who was the host, who also came with this like beautiful level of sunshine and joy, and she's amazing. So we had 3 people with really high energy recreate these family recipes, and then what we would do is we would send our recipes home to the families to have them cook both recipes and decide which was their favorite. So not only were they learning how to cook, but they were also getting their children involved, and then like understanding. Like I remember one family, my recipe had hemp seeds in them and chia seeds, and they were like, they'd never seen that before, and the kid was like, what's the chia seed? And so it was like educating and allowing them to like build confidence in the kitchen. It was the greatest concept show. I'm so annoyed it didn't get picked up a 3rd season. That was like my dream. That was me living my dream.
That's beautiful. I feel like you could still do that.
I want to do that. If there's anybody out there that wants to recreate Recipe Rehab, I am right here. I am ready to go.
You could just hire someone to do a camera stuff for
I
you,
literally just need someone to do camera. I have a kitchen.
Oh.
I would love to do that.
We'll talk.
We should.
I got some friends.
Okay.
And so I had a baker on the podcast from this guy from Poland.
Okay.
And he talks about like baking as a science, right? Everything has to be right for the dough to rise properly, this and that. And I listened to an interview with you, and you talked about like cooking as a science too, and you talked about like molecular gastronomy and all these things.
I remember that interview.
Yeah, and I was like, a lot of people, like the chefs that I've had on the podcast, so one of my the owners of Helix Gyms in Sherman Oaks, he was a personal chef for What's Queer Eye?
Yeah.
The show Queer Eye.
Yeah.
And he talks about like cooking as like an art form, like kind of like how you did. But in that interview, you were talking about it more of a science. And like, what's the fine line between that? Like, is it an art? Is it science? Is it both? Is there certain aspects of different foods that you have to pay more attention to the science of it versus the artistry of it?
I think cooking baseline is a science. I think the art of cooking it's like unlimited. Cooking is a science. It's heat driven. It's like, it's chemical driven. You're cooking a steak on a fire. There's chemical substances and chemical movement that's happening. I think feeding people is nurturing and artistic. And I think, like I said earlier, we eat with our eyes first. So how you present a plate, how you present a piece of art or sculpture or branding, that's art.
Yeah.
And that's creative. And so I honestly think it's a balance of both. I think baking is a whole other level. You cannot bake things consistently without a recipe, without a formula.
Yeah.
Cooking, you can taste. You can play around. That's why I like cooking. I'm not a big baker.
Because I feel like baking is like you got to do it all over again if you fuck up.
Baking is a real formula. You can't make a croissant just like throwing shit into a pan. But I make desserts by just throwing stuff into like, a bowl and like mixing it and creating something like that. Or I make a ragu sauce without any version of a recipe and I taste it, and you can't do that with baking. You have to have, you can, but it's really not as...
And I guess that makes sense too. I guess it's similar to like bartending and the 5 or 6 classic cocktails, and then there's like riffs off it that you can make creative. I guess like cooking, they have, I don't know how many mother sauces there are.
A gazillion.
Oh, there's a zillion mother sauces?
Well, no, there's like 12. But
okay, and then it's like riffs off them.
Yes. Yeah. There's riffs off of everything.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so fun.
Yeah. I guess we'll close up with what does art do for you? And what do you think the importance of art in all shapes and forms? What's that role in the world?
What does art do for me?
Yeah, and what's its role in the world in all of its forms, from cooking to...
Expression.
I
think art's expression. Yeah, it's a way we can... express ourselves and perceive ourselves.
And that's important. Why?
Because we just get to learn more about ourselves and share and connect and inspire and help other people grow, and we grow at the same time. And I think art is, and I also think art, I think it's an outlet, and we all need those.
I love that.
Yeah.
Where can everyone find you?
Well, right here in your living room. At Chef Vikki K.
Okay.
Is my personal.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are you still taking on any clients or anything like that?
I'm open.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm open.
Cool. Hit her up, y'all. Thank you so much for coming on. This was a blast. I appreciate you.
You're so fun. I appreciate you too. Thank you
This
for
was
having
awesome.
me. Yeah.
It was a whim. You were interesting, and we made it work.
I know.
Thanks,
I
y'all.
love
Go
it.
check her out, Chef Vikki K, and go check out VK Energy Bars and the new stuff. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you.